Karibu RC.
Good morning. It's not a very easy job to speak after Mutuma. He's our editor-in-chief and he's very good with words. Right. So I have just a few slides to take you through. Stephen talked about, our CEO talked about the strategy, gave an overview of what has been going on, painted the picture of probably where we are coming from and where we are going. Mutuma then talked about our journey of transformation and what we are doing with the various products, the investments and the initiatives and all. Stephen also talked about the various marketing initiatives and sustainability efforts. But now all this then translates to numbers. And we are either spending money, making money, investing money for the future. Some you invest and you don't earn much. And particularly in this era of disruption, and a lot of experimenting on innovative initiatives. There's times where you put in money, hoping to make a lot of money, and you don't. So it's one reality we have to live with. So I'll take you through a few of these slides. Now, those are the key highlights for 2021. It was really a recovery year, because 2020 was a complete collapse of the business, not just in nation, but I think across the world, irrespective of which sector you are in, whether in media, in aviation, the hotel industry, banking, all of them suffered. So it was really a recovery year. So the numbers might look good, but it was from a lower base, but still a good effort. Print advertising recovered, 14% up. There was a lot of initiatives apart, and Sogoti has done, GM Commercial has done quite a good job with his team to push that. Television, both in Kenya and Uganda, has done a superb job, 25% up. We also have a growth in radio revenue, but this is largely in Uganda because we have several radio stations in Uganda. Kenya is picking up, and I think there'll be a good story, particularly this year. We also grew digital revenue. This was largely from both direct and indirect advertising. Courier revenue was up. We have a courier business that rides on our newspaper distribution business, and it's been growing. E-paper, this 2021 was a single-digit growth, but in 2020, actually, we had a double-digit growth. Mutuma has talked about the things we are doing with the e-paper, and as soon as the new platform is out, we should be able to, we're actually quite bullish about the e-paper. We registered a decline in print circulation. COVID restrictions were on and off in Kenya in that year. In Rwanda, there was a full lockdown. Uganda also, there was a lockdown until actually January this year. And that really, really impacted our operations, print operations particularly, in Uganda up to until the beginning of 2022. Tanzania, there were no restrictions. There was also a change in leadership, which has sort of positively impacted the environment, and the business is doing good in Tanzania. In 2021 also, we had a very successful share buyback. Bob Karina and his team is here. We did a lot of work with Bob and Mahesh of ENS. It was the first ever share buyback in this region. It was a learning, a lot of learnings, actually including the NSC and the CDSC as well, and the CMA, and we got support from all the players in the market, or both the regulators and the NSC. So we had a very, very successful share buyback, and there will be a slide later on that. In terms of digital revenue growth, we have a number of revenue streams, in as much as we are still trying to grow quite a number of them. Digital advertising was up 13%, e-paper was up 8%. We have a number of mobile value-added services, one we call Skiza, which is doing significantly well. Unfortunately, most of the money is kept by Safaricom. There's been a few changes lately, and hopefully we'll start making some money from there. We have a young team that is running that show, and they're doing a very good job. TAG is our in-house agency. They do a lot of work both for internal, our various products, and for customers externally. One of the things they do pretty well is the Digital Summit, which is now an annual summit. We are hopeful that we're going to continue pushing TAG to make a bit more money from that stream. Nation.Africa, subscribers are going up, and Nation, the registrations are also going up. Later on, when we look at our digital footprint, I'll make a few comments on how the data wall and the paywall has impacted our digital footprint. And there it is. So at the moment, we have 47.3 million users on our platforms. Those are the various platforms. The first one is really our own. Those suffered quite a bit, particularly in Kenya, when we introduced the data wall, where people are now being asked or requested to register and requested to pay for prime content. This market, I think it's still very new because everybody expects that anything that is available on the digital platforms should be free. They don't want to pay for it. They don't want to register. You just want to get your data and read for free. But then with this push for digital, for reader revenue, we've got to start, getting our customers to understand that if we deliver quality content to them, then they should be able to, comfortably register and pay for it. We are working on a number of initiatives to grow that number of 7.1 to quite a bit by the end of the year, probably closer to the 20 million. I will not spend too much time on this, and then the picture we just wanted to paint is that in as much as print still remains our biggest contributor to our top line, there has been significant growth in particularly broadcasting over the period, and we are still very, very bullish about broadcasting, both the linear channel and the digital channel that we are working on. There is a lot of work going on to work on to have television available on digital channels and video on demand. Just a comment on the digital revenues. In as much as it looks like the growth is just 1%, but the margins are significant, so that if you look at what is contributing overall to our PBT, the digital margins are significant. They take time to grow. The stuff that Mutuma talked about, you have to invest and you have to be ready to put in money year after year after year before you start making any significant revenues on the top line. The e-paper started off a while back, but it's been growing, and by now it is, this is in terms of total, all the publications, is contributing about 14% of our total circulation copy sales. But there's even a better story on the niche products. If you look at those niche products, and this is expected because the readership of the Business Daily and the readership of the East African, they are certainly more comfortable on the digital platforms. Business Daily at the moment is at 38% in terms of e-paper and 62% on print. This, I think, with if you go back to what Mutuma talked about, the work that is going on for the Business Daily, we expect this number to grow significantly, probably to over 60% e-paper and maybe just 40% on print, because print will still not disappear, but the margins are much better on the e-paper. The East African is also growing, is at 21% now, and they still work. We are quite bullish about it as well. Now, I just have one or two other slides to go, which basically is what I think we have all been waiting for. Now, in 2019, we were at 9 billion in terms of top line. And as soon as COVID, actually as soon as Mutai, the CS then, Mutai Kagwe, announced that a case of COVID was detected, there was a complete shutdown of the economy, complete. And we had people canceling orders, agencies shutting down, and within the first 3 months of 2020, our top line collapsed by almost 50%, slightly over 50%. And then we've been working on growing it. Some customers went and never came back. We got new ones. We are increasingly working on bringing on board new business because we can no longer rely on the traditional revenues. So the growth this year from 2020, which is about 12%, about 800 million, was driven by broadcasting and recovery in print advertising and, of course, digital. That leads me to where we are in terms of profitability. We closed 2020 just about 120 million, which was a struggle. In fact, up to October, we really were losing money, and we picked up in the last quarter of that year. And this year, we are ending up at 730.7 million in terms of PBT. And that, if you look at that slide in the waterfall, is largely driven by a growth in revenue. We also took a lot of measures in 2020 in terms of sorting out our operations, looking at our costs, looking at our org structures, and these have continuously impacted our PBTs positively. That is then the summary. That's a condensed statement of comprehensive income. Turnover is up 12%, gross profit is up 13%. PBT, we closed at 730.7 million against 119.9 in 2020, which was a very difficult year. And with other comprehensive income, and therefore we then, after tax, we ended up with 584.7 million against the 135.5 the previous year. This one, I just thought I should highlight this on the share buyback. This is what happened. We went on a very tough journey of learning and trying to work with the various authorities in getting this share buyback to the market, which we did with a lot of learning and collaboration. The target was 20.7 million shares, but we closed at just about 17.1 million shares, which was a total cash outlay of 427.5 million. When we issued the cautionary notice in February, our share price at NSE was at 13.4. And then when we did the public announcement, it has jumped to 17.2. And then when we commenced the share buyback, it had already gone to 25, which is the premium price that we were allowed by the CMA to issue the share buyback. And we closed on 24th of September at around 25.3. And now the price is ranging around 2021. So that's where we are. So I will stop there, and I'm sure there'll be a number of questions going ahead. So we will then stop there and hand over to Julian. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, RC, for giving us some good flavor around the numbers. Strong topic.